shown my age. Normally I do this online, and it works fairly well. On this occasion we're having to live stream, but great to be in a room with people again. As I'm sure you know, we've had a spate of live tests. I've got my positive test. I'm absolutely clear, but usual COVID protocols, blah, 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 because we're all about to go on holiday and we don't want to spoil it for everybody. Right, but great to be in front of a room, great to be in front of people, and lovely to see you all, so that's all good. So this is what we're doing today. We're talking about university in 2023, which probably sounds like a really, really long time away, but fortune favours the prepared mind. And so what we've spoken to our lower sixth about is getting ahead of the game. And they've had pretty much the same version of this presentation as you're getting now. So hopefully we're all going to be at the same level. A copy of all of these slides is going to appear on the parent portal, and as I said earlier, Liam is recording this, so if you really want to go back and look at this again, please do. Anyway, this is what we're going to go through today, so when we get to the gospel at the bottom, you'll know we're nearly done, and we can go off and do other things. So, this is the GCSE score from your children. And as you can imagine, it's a perfectly normal distribution of results. The reason why I put that up there is really because what we've got is we have got universities for everyone. We're very, and it does that again, I feel better. So, we can get more and more people into good universities. I think that's what I want to try to get across here. These are where they've been getting into. Let me just... and the headmaster is very, very keen that I should stress this side of the chart. And yeah, these kids have done fantastic stuff. I mean, the Oxford, Cambridge, brilliant. We had a great year last year. We got 4 into Oxford and Cambridge. We got 4 medics, and you know, that's really, really good. The ones that I'm really pleased about is this one actually, the LSE. We're getting more and more kids into the LSE every year, and that's really, really hard from the private sector. So can you, I don't know if you can see that at the back. Okay, you've got better eyesight than I have. Well impressed. So we can get these kids into these amazing universities, and that's fantastic, all right? But we can also get kids into these universities here. And the reason why I'm so keen on this side of the curve, this side of the table, is because maybe, you know, whoever it was that went to Nottingham Trent or Leeds Beckett or Swansea University or Reading, whatever it was, maybe this time a couple of years ago, university really wasn't on their radar. They weren't thinking about going to university. But there's a university for everybody. And everybody can find a university that they're going to go to, that they're going to enjoy, that they're going to come out of with a really, really good degree. And that's what matters nowadays. It's no good going to Durham and coming out with a 2-2. You know, what you want to be getting is a 2-1 or a first. Now, I know there's a lot of people in the who are employers in front of me, so I don't need to tell you, you know, when you put a job out there and you get all of these applications, you know, human nature is you've got to get that pile from there to there. And the easiest way of doing that is to chuck out all the 2-2s. Anything below a 2-1, just get rid of them. Deeply unfair. You're going to lose a lot of good people for sure. But in that pile that's remaining, you're going to find your candidate, and they're going to do your job. Yeah. So what we are telling the kids now is, yeah, these are great universities, but don't put the university first. We've never said the university come first. Always, it's the integrity of the application. Is this the right place for you? All of these universities here teach at a certain pace, and if that pace is out of reach of the kid, then they're going to struggle, and there's absolutely no point whatsoever them going to that university. They want to go to a university that's going to look after them, that's going to give them an interesting course, that's going to give them the support and encouragement they need so they get that 2-1 or they get that first, and that's what really matters. So that's what we're stressing over here. The brand name matters much less. If you can get these, then fantastic, and you're going to have a fantastic time. These kids have gone to the LSE, I was speaking to them just yesterday, and they said, oh, it's brilliant, it's absolutely fantastic, and work hard, like crikey. They thought we were flogging them here. They've got a real wake-up call at the LSE, and the same at all of these universities. These ones, great. And the other thing is, if you're interested in something like media, if you're interested in ICT, then you're probably going to get a much better course from these guys over here anyway. So that's something that's worth looking into. The film schools, the music schools, all of that interesting stuff, that's on this side of the curve. These are our academic powerhouses, fantastic, massively proud of them. These guys have done a tremendous job, and they're going to go to the right university, and they're going to have a fantastic time. So that's all brilliant. Good. So just going back, before we get on to this, I just want to come back to this slide here. And again, we're going in the right direction. We're going in the right direction. I do, however, I'm not entirely sure why it's doing that. I need to explain this bit here because that's important. And what I'm going to do is, just in case I lose this, I'm going to do it this way. Okay. That bit there has dropped. Those are the applications we're getting to elite universities. Now, that's fallen down this year. Again, I showed this to a bunch of prospective parents the other day, and the head nearly ripped my arms off. You guys are here, there's nothing we can do about it now. But what I can do is explain why this has happened, okay, because it's very, very, very important. As you all know, we're in the middle of a raging death plague. And as a result of that, we've seen a massive increase in grades. So last year, A stars off the scale. The year before that, A stars off the scale. Now, we've benefited from this as much as everybody else. The groups that haven't benefited are those universities who traditionally overoffer. Now, every university overoffers in anticipation of kids not getting the grades. It's like airplanes. They always overbook the seats in anticipation that somebody drops out. On this occasion, nobody dropped out. And all of these universities found themselves sitting with all of these kids getting A stars and A's and nowhere to put them. Now, this was particularly pronounced at universities with limited small-scale footprints. Places like, Oxford, Cambridge, Durham, St Andrews. Some kids have been going to St Andrews. How well do people know the North Shore of the Forth? Well, St Andrews is kind of over there, Edinburgh's there, and the kids were in Dundee, which is somewhat over here, because they had... You're never going to... It's just as well we've got that budget for training. Right. So St Andrews, they're bussing kids in 3/4 of an hour every day. I mean, that's insane. You will have heard that Durham has been paying kids to defer their entries. And what that has meant is that our kids, who have worked incredibly hard and got the grades, found themselves caught up in the same position as everybody else. And the reason why I've got that up there is because that's going to take 2 or 3 years to flatten out, because they've got to massage those bulge years through. So what that means is that anyone who's applying to Oxford, Cambridge, St Andrews, Durham, those elite universities with restricted footprints, they're going to find life even harder than it was before. And unfortunately, that is being replicated across every school across the country. So that's not us. So there we go. Hopefully, once things get back to normal, we'll see that picking back up. So again, we can get people into the university that's right for them. It's going to be tough at the top, even tougher at the top than it's been. But that doesn't mean that we don't anticipate kids getting into those universities this year. Okay, so does that make sense? Just before I move on. Okay, good. Right, I'll have to get that auto transition thing off on this particular thing. Right, so there we go. So yeah, all very impressive. That happened, and then we can get to this. So, what now? Well, as I said, this is about planning ahead. I'm going to be talking largely about the UK, but every year we see more and more. Yep, you can come on in. Hey, Charles. I won't force you to sit in the front. So every year we get more and more kids going off. I'll get rid of this because it doesn't work. It's only a matter of time before I trip over it, which will be very amusing. So every year we get more and more kids looking to apply overseas for all sorts of very good reasons. Lots of people going to America, the universities over there. More and more looking at Europe, which is an interesting thing. We may have pulled up the drawbridge, but Europe's still over there. And I still think that people from here who go and have university over there can actually get a nice comparative advantage. And it's still financially within tolerance of the UK. The ones I particularly like, just while I'm on the subject, are the university colleges in the Netherlands, which are amazing. Utrecht, Leiden, Amsterdam, bit of a theme park nowadays. But 3 years in Leiden or 3 years in Reading, I know where I'd go. I hope nobody can that. I normally don't get through one of these without insulting somebody. But anyway, Miss Scotland-Jones is on that. We've got a team that's getting more and more experienced every year, and we get presentations in from Europe. But if there is anybody who's looking to apply to Europe, that process has to start now. Particularly universities in the United States. This is a very, very long and drawn out and expensive process in the United States. So that needs to start now. So if you do have any kids who are interested in applying overseas, do please make sure that they speak to Miss Scotland-Jones. A lot of people have come forward. We always have a late flurry. That's the way it is. Overseas, you can make as many applications as you like, but there is no UCAS. Every one of those is an individual application, and every one of those will cost a certain amount. I think it's about 50 euros, for instance, if you're applying to Leiden or Utrecht. So, it's money, but that's the way it is. Right. So that's pretty much all I intend to say about non-UK universities. Here's the situation in the UK. We've got 350 odd institutions, 35,000 courses, blimey O'Reilly. I mean, this is like trying to park in an empty car park. There's just so many options, it can be quite bewildering. And I had a conversation last week with somebody in the upper sixth who was going, well, I could be doing this, or I could be doing that. I said, oh, for God's sake, we've been doing this for a year now. You should have an idea of what you want to do, because again, fortune favours the prepared mind. Please start these conversations now. I don't expect an answer. You're not going to get an answer after half time. Well, maybe some kids will, bang, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a zoologist, or I want to be a politics teacher. Don't let them do that. But have that conversation. Start that conversation and see where it goes. I'm going to come to Unifrog later. Stupid name, great application. But we've got these fantastic tools that will help them through that process, help them ask the right questions. And if we start this process now, then ideally, at half term, you won't have your son or daughter in front of me going, well, I suppose I could be a zoologist, or I could be a mountain climber. We need to get these things sorted sooner rather than later, because the possibilities are, almost endless. So, again, sorry at the back, I was supposed to be in the rocks here, I kicked out by the climate, apparently it's warming or something, I don't know. Right, so we apply through UCAS, this is in the UK, one-stop shop, it's really, really good. You get to make 5 choices, some of you, this is old hat, I'm sure. The only exception to that is medicine, where you apply to 4 medical schools, and because the environment is so tough, then you get your 5th choice from biological sciences or something like that. But everybody else will make 5 choices, and one would expect that the course would be broadly the same across all of those 5 choices, because you get to choose the course and the university. So lots of people looking at business studies, so you'll be making an application probably to somewhere like Bristol or Bath or St Andrews at the top, and then various options all the way down through that, but of which more later. All of the kids should have finished their side of the application by this time next year, and then we want to finish all of our sides by EXIAT. All of those go off to the university, and then the decisions start coming back, or rather the offers start coming back in the Lent term, and by the end of the Lent term, the kids should have a pretty good idea of what they're going to choose, where they're going to go, and what's going to happen at the end of that. So that's the general timeline. Again, people applying to Oxford, Cambridge, medicine, that sort of stuff, that's a much more considered campaign, and that needs to start much earlier. So those who are doing medicine, and I think there might be some kids here, they've already started on their pre-med course with Jess Reinhold. Anyone here whose kids looking to do medicine? No? Okay. That started already. We've got a lower 6th elective, which is pre-med, and that builds towards and creating a much stronger application at the end. The Oxbridge stuff, that will all kick in once we've got the latest batch through, and then that starts again. So yeah, it all runs along those lines. So, what is actually in the UCAS application? Well, it's a bit of 4 parts. We've got personal details, choices, personal statement, and the school reference. I'm just going to rattle through these very, very quickly. Personal details, well, kind of what it says on the tin. The important bit there is that that's where all of your qualifications go in. That's both the qualifications they've got, GCSEs, and the qualifications they're going to get. That is, of course, their A-levels. One little thing. When we were applying to university, it was very, very simple. A C was a pass. You needed at least a C in your English and maths. Now, no one's quite sure where a C is. Is a C a 4? Is a C a 5? The answer is you have to look at the individual courses. The actual requirements for English and the actual requirements for maths change from university to university and even from course to course. So if you're applying, for instance, to Edinburgh to read biological sciences or something along those lines, they're going to expect a minimum of 5 or perhaps a 6 at maths GCSE, but probably a 4 at English. But if you want to read English or history or law, they're going to expect a 5 and then probably a 4 for maths. You just have to go in on a case-by-case basis. What we've been advising the lower 6th is that you get more with more. Anyone who's got below a 4, they're doing a maths resit. Anyone who's got 4 or a 5, we're encouraging them to have a no other go at maths because it's just going to broaden their choices. Again, have a word with you. If you've got kids who are falling into that category, just make sure they're happy and that they know where they stand. So we've got some kids who've got, look, I got a 4 thanks to COVID, basically, so there's absolutely no point me resitting it, and fine, that's okay. But if they do want to widen their choices, then obviously you want to get as high up that as you possibly can. Maths and English being the 2 important ones. Little bit now on the grades they're going to need at A-level. Again, I'm sorry you can't, there's no way you can see that at the back. But this is politics. I wanted to have a look at what you needed to get into a politics course nowadays. And if you're curious, this is from Unifrog. I strongly advise that over half term, you sit down with your kids and you say, right, show me Unifrog. And if they say, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, then beat them soundly because they have been told about this. And we need to get them into it because, again, fortune favours the prepared mind. Now, what you do is you punch in your A-levels and it then says, okay, based upon the grades you think you're going to get, these universities here are aspirational. Sorry, guys at the back there. These ones are solid, so that's a pretty safe bet, and these ones are safe. So you can see here, or I can see here, that we go from A-star AA there, and that's Durham, King's College, London, Durham, LSE, Warwick, and it goes on, Oxford, Cambridge, all the way down there. Really punchy A-level choices over there. This one here, safe or solid, so you're looking AAB, Edinburgh, Exeter, Leeds, Newcastle, Nottingham, Birmingham, blah, 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 blah. All good universities. Oh, by the way, University of Sheffield, I got a massive soft spot for Sheffield. It's a much overlooked university, very, very good place, particularly politics, history, international relations, that sort of thing. Anyway, just chuck that one in. And then over here is what they call safe. So this would be your insurance choice. You know, if everything goes spectacularly wrong on the day, then you've got this to fall back on. Huddersfield, another much overlooked university, very modern, very new, up and coming, great place. And personal favourite of mine, it's not there, Sussex, just a lovely university that for some reason is quite accessible. So that's what you'll get with politics. Here's just for the sake of it. This is for business, and again, you know, you're looking A-star AA over here, down to BBC down here. And the one, I put this one on, again, probably too much information on the slide. Bad presentation. But I put this one up because this is maths. And maths is scary. Maths is really, really, really scary. Because over here, Cambridge, A-star AA. This is A-star AA. AAA, it's just mental for maths. Solid, well, there isn't really any solid. It's all A's again. And then over here, you know, you're still looking at, I mean, Lancaster, where's Lancaster? I mean, Lancaster to read maths, you need 3 A's. I was gobsmacked when I saw that. And the thing is that with maths, it's an international market. Now, our universities are international generally, but there are some subjects that you really are competing at an international level. Maths is one, economics is the other one. For some reason, we just drag everybody in from all around the world to do maths and economics. As a result of that, the threshold for entry in every university is ridiculously high. Top tip for anyone who wants to read economics, don't. Read economics and business, economics and management, economics and basket weaving. It really doesn't matter. It's much, much, much more accessible. We found this last year. Everyone's going, do I need to do a further maths or do I need to do... No, you just need to be doing economics and. If you do want to apply for pure economics, then you better have further maths because you're going into battle with people who are doing further maths, and further maths is the key to pure economics. And Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, etc., etc., etc. You can't just be having further maths, you're looking at straight A's across the entire board. It's that competitive. But economics and, for some reason, doesn't have quite the international cachet, and so even if it's economics and business, economics and a year abroad, I mean, that's amazing. But for some reason, it's just the pure economics that really excites the international market. All right, the personal statement. This is the hardest thing any of your children are going to write for the next 4 or 5 years, because what you've got to do is essentially put together a 4,000 character manifesto. You know, this is your manifesto, this is your plea to that university professor to get you on the last seat of their bus. There's one seat left on that academic bus. Why should they give it to you and not the next person? Well, this is a big part of it. And what you're trying to explain here is not that you want to study real estate, but that if you don't study real estate, you're going to explode and it's going to be really, really messy, and they'll be missing out on the best possible real estate student Oxford Brookes has ever had. And yeah, well, he did. He went on to Oxford Brookes, and he had a fantastic time, and he's now working for Savills in London. So well done, the mysterious Mr. Oscar. Oh no, but the mysterious Mr. X. So I'll talk a little bit more about how you flesh that out later. But again, this is where we have to start thinking strategically now, because this is going to take some filling. It is, as I say, open, blah, 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 blah. I should have remembered I'd written all of that before I started talking. But yeah, it's how do you think? Why should you be allowed on this particular bus? And yeah, 4,000 characters, including punctuation and spaces, which rapidly mounts up, particularly if you're applying to somewhere like the LSE, Oxford, Cambridge, and you've got a lot to say. You know, there has to be some very judicious pruning going on there. The references are bit, essentially it's why the university should believe everything that you said in your personal statement. And the good news, I think, for you, is that we are incredibly good at these. We're very, very, no false modesty is half of pride. We are good at these.